In the summer of 1981, an arcade cabinet appeared on a street corner in Portland, Oregon. Nobody knew who put it there. Nobody had seen the game before. There were no instructions, no company logo, just a plain black machine with a single word on the marquee: Polybius. Within days, kids were lining up around the block to play it. And within weeks, those same kids were showing up to school with nightmares they couldn't explain. Seizures, blackouts, memory loss. One boy reportedly tried to tear the machine apart with his bare hands and couldn't explain why. And then, about a month after it appeared, men in black suits arrived. They opened the cabinet, removed something from inside, and left without a word. The machine was gone the next morning. To understand why this story took hold, you have to understand what arcades were in 1981. This was before home consoles dominated the market. If you wanted to play the best games, you went to an arcade. You fed quarters into machines, and you stayed until someone dragged you out. Arcades were loud, dark, and packed, and nobody really paid attention to which machines were which. So when a strange new cabinet appeared in a Portland arcade, people played it. Of course they did. That's what you did. According to the legend, Polybius was unlike anything players had seen. The gameplay was described as hypnotic, some kind of fast-moving puzzle or shooter that made it impossible to look away. Players reported losing track of time entirely. 30 minutes would pass and feel like 5. Some said they couldn't remember playing at all, only coming back to themselves standing in front of the machine, sweating, with no memory of how long they'd been there. Then came the side effects. Nightmares that lasted for weeks, blinding headaches. At least one report of a player experiencing a seizure mid-game. Others described an overwhelming feeling of paranoia after playing, a creeping sense that they were being watched. And the men in suits. Multiple witnesses claimed to have seen government-looking figures, described consistently as wearing dark suits, carrying no identification, opening the machine and collecting data from inside it. Not fixing it, not restocking it, collecting something. Nobody stopped them. Nobody asked questions. This was 1981, and men in suits who acted like they were supposed to be somewhere were usually left alone. Then the cabinet vanished, and Polybius entered the mythology of gaming, one of the most persistent, detailed, and widely believed urban legends the medium has ever produced. Here's where it gets interesting. Because most urban legends fall apart the second anyone looks closely. Polybius doesn't. Not completely. The earliest documented version of the story appears on a website called coinop.org sometime around 1998. A user submitted a brief entry describing the cabinet, its effects, and its disappearance. The listing was sparse, almost clinical. And for years, that entry was essentially the only record anyone could find. No cabinet, no manufacturer, no ROM file, no photographs, no coin-op distributor records. Nothing. Researchers dug through Oregon newspaper archives from 1981, looking for any reports of children experiencing seizures or psychological episodes near arcades. They found nothing that matched. The name itself, Polybius, refers to an ancient Greek historian known for writing about a cryptographic device, which is either a coincidence that tells us nothing or a deliberate choice by whoever created the legend that tells us everything. But here's what investigators did find. In the early 1980s, the US government was actively researching the psychological effects of video games. Not as a conspiracy, openly. There are declassified documents from this period showing that military researchers were studying whether fast-moving visual stimuli could be used for training purposes, whether games could alter reaction time, attention, and decision-making under stress. And there are documented cases from this exact era of prototype arcade cabinets being placed in public spaces without full disclosure of what they were testing. Market research, mostly. But the infrastructure for exactly what the Polybius legend describes, a machine in a public space, data collection, retrieval, existed. It doesn't prove anything, but it means the legend wasn't built from nothing. The most credible theory today is that Polybius is a composite, a myth assembled from real anxieties that existed in the early 1980s, stitched together by the internet and given a name. The seizure fears were real. Epilepsy advocacy groups in the early 80s genuinely warned parents about fast flickering screens. The government surveillance anxiety was real. This was the Cold War. The experience of losing time to a game you couldn't put down was real. Every arcade kid knew that feeling. Someone, and we still don't know who, took all of that and wrapped it in a story clean enough to feel like a document and strange enough to spread. What makes Polybius fascinating isn't whether it happened. It's what it reveals about us, about what we were afraid of, about how quickly a rumor becomes a record when nobody writes the counter-record. Gaming has always attracted this kind of mythology, because games are interactive in a way that films and books aren't. They make you the subject. When something goes wrong inside a game, it feels like it's happening to you. And that's a uniquely powerful foundation for a ghost story. The cabinet has never been found. No verified ROM has ever surfaced. The coinop.org entry is still there if you want to read it. And somewhere in Portland, someone's grandfather swears he played it once. He doesn't remember much, just that he couldn't stop. If you want to see more videos like this, gaming's hidden history, the stories the industry doesn't want you to find, subscribe. There's a lot more where this came from.